Hey guys, it's Allie. Welcome back to Infertile, the podcast. This is episode 239 called Sarah Shafer. This podcast is sponsored by RECEPTIVA DX. RECEPTIVA DX is a powerful test that has helped thousands of women who have experienced recurrent pregnancy loss or IVF failure. The test helps detect inflammatory conditions of the uterus that might be preventing you from becoming pregnant or staying pregnant. The most common underlying condition of a positive RECEPTIVA DX test is endometriosis with or without symptoms. If you or someone you know has struggled with IVF, RECEPTIVA DX may give you the answer and treatment protocols that you're looking for. Talk with your doctor about RECEPTIVA DX because the journey is so worth it. Plus, guys, Infertile AF listeners are getting $75 off the RECEPTIVA DX test. So all you have to do is go to receptivadx.com or download the app RECEPTIVA DX, use code INFERTILEAF23, and you'll get $75 off. Thanks, RECEPTIVA DX. All right. So today I am talking to a beauty boss. Her name is Sarah Shafer, and she is the founder of Milkmaid Skin, which, you guys, is one of my favorite new beauty products. I actually just re-upped on their gel cleanser, which I'm obsessed with, and we will talk about that in the episode. But mostly we're going to talk about Sarah's fertility journey. So she is an IVF mama. I'm going to let her get into all the details, but I just want to thank her. And without further ado, this is Sarah's infertility story. Okay. Hi, Sarah. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad to talk to you about this. We have been working together a little bit with Milkmaid Skin, which is your skincare line.
Yes.
We'll talk about that a little bit later, but let's start way before that, way before you had the line, your family building journey. Did you always want to be a mom?
Yeah, I think so. I think I always thought it would be easy. Yeah, I always wanted to be a mom. There were times in my life, in my early 20s where, that I wasn't even thinking about it or thinking about that it could actually be a struggle. I was enjoying myself. But yeah, ultimately I had a great childhood. My parents were awesome. And, I wanted to be a mom, definitely.
Okay. So when did you meet your husband?
So this is a funny story. So Zach and I actually went to high school together. We did not date in high school. Zach was, the big popular jock. He was the, captain of the soccer team. I dated one guy all through high school, very conservative, but he was friends with my older brother. And so he would always just sort of pop in and appear in our house. And, it just always, Sarah, what's up? What are you doing? And we had classes together. So we were friends. So there was this always flirting going on, but nothing ever happened until we both were finally single after college. And he called the house one day and said, "Hey, you want to go get drinks?" And it wasn't weird for that to happen. So I truly thought nothing of it. I was like, yeah, sure. Let's go grab some drinks. Mm-hmm. And we did. And things changed that night.
Really?
Yeah.
A little smooching?
We were maybe 23, 24 when we first started dating. Yeah. We've been together over 20 years, married for almost 15 though. Yeah.
It's so good when you have that friendship in place first, I feel like.
Well, I knew what I was getting myself into, right? I knew who he was. Yeah. There was no mystery there. I'd known him for years. So definitely that's how it all came to fruition.
Okay. So then when did you guys start talking about, what your family was going to look like or when you guys, what you wanted in terms of children?
We got married when we were 29, 30 years old, and I've always been very career oriented. I have always loved to work. I'm good at working. And so I didn't want to have a family right away. I really wanted to start to build my career, and I liked what I was doing and I didn't want to. It's silly to say that I thought it might hinder that, but I did. And so we talked about let's get our feet on the ground. Let's make a little money for a couple years. And then, let's have sex and, have a baby. And that didn't work out.
Okay. What happened?
Right. So I mean, I truly thought it was that simple. I really did.
Yeah,
I
same.
look back now and I'm like, oh my God, we both were like, all right, we're now like 31, let's do this. Let's see, people say it could take a couple tries to have a family. And sure enough, it took a lot of tries. We tried for 6 months, nothing was happening. And, at that point, everyone's like, you have to wait a year to go to a fertility clinic. And so a few of my friends had gone already and, were on Clomid and they're like, oh, it's probably you're not ovulating. Just like go see them. They'll throw you on some Clomid. Go do that. And so we did. And I did go on Clomid.
Did you wait the year though?
No, I really didn't.
That's my tip to people is you don't have to wait a year.
You don't have to wait. And I'm an impatient person by nature. So I was like, if I want something, I just go and I'm like, I find a way to get it.
Yeah.
And so they were like, all right, well, let's try Clomid. Let's try a bunch of IUIs. And so we did that for a couple years. No, maybe a year. No, it wasn't a couple years. It was only a year because I did have a low AMH. So we knew my egg reserve was low. And so after a few failed IUIs, they were like, you're going to have to do IVF. And so I was 31, maybe turning 32.
Okay.
But we had no money. So I was like just heartbroken,
right.
number one, because when you first hear the news, it's so, I don't even know what the word is. Like, I just felt like I kind of crashed. I was like,
the news, that you needed to do IVF or just the news that it's not okay.
Yeah. Because it was, like I'm 44 now, like that was quite some time ago. And there's so much more like research and this kind of stuff out there available now, which I think is amazing. But back then, I hate even saying back then.
I know, back in the day.
Totally dating myself. There wasn't a lot, only that it's like, it wasn't really talked about. It was this huge thing. It costs all this money. Oh my God, and people didn't really want to talk about it. And so we figured out a way, we're like, all right, let's do this. We did an IVF, unfortunately it failed. We did another IVF that failed. And I was getting really upset. We even went back to IUIs because like the funds weren't there to keep going with these IVFs. And at that point, I wasn't also happy with the fertility clinic I was at. And I think that's really important for people going into it to really love where they're at and to feel like you're heard and to feel like you are not just a number walking into that clinic, because that's really how I felt.
You did?
I did. Yeah.
How did you choose your clinic?
It was just a popular one where I live. And most, unfortunately, it has a great name and people go there. And look, I've had friends go there and get pregnant, and that's great. But I was a more intricate case, and they really couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. And that was the answer. And so that wasn't going to be good enough, because I was like, okay, this is like wearing on me, my marriage, my body, my mind, like everything. So ultimately we ended up switching to Shady Grove Fertility.
Okay. Where do you live again?
I'm right outside of Philadelphia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we found Shady Grove, found a great doctor, and I just connected with him. His name is Dr. Sasson. I just felt an immediate connection with him, which was great, and so we decided to dive in again. Did IVF, it failed again.
Can you tell me about, sorry to interrupt, but I'd love to hear what was going on with you, like mentally. This is so, like you mentioned, it's so hard. And how were you guys doing as a couple too? Because I talk a lot about how it affected my relationship and my marriage and all that.
It does. I mean, from the outside, I look just like this, and you would never know anything was wrong. On the inside, I was crumbling, crying, angry, taking it out on Zach, taking it out on anybody that did know what was going on with me. But then, in the public eye, going to work, you would never know anything was wrong. Anybody that would just meet me, I really didn't talk about it. I just didn't want, I don't know why. I mean, with some people I did. I guess I just like, if I let myself fall apart, I would. And there were times like I learned, just fall apart. Like, it's okay. Just fall apart, but I think the hardest thing was everyone around me was having babies and getting pregnant. And it became even harder for my friends to call me and tell me that they were expecting and they were afraid to do that. And that was a huge I think, awakening for me. And, I finally just said to them, like, please, like, don't shut me out just because this isn't happening for me. Cause that was hurting me more. We weren't getting invited to like little kid parties with all of our friends because I think people felt bad for us. And I was like, that hurts more. We're just being excluded. Like, I'll decide if I can come and if I can do it. And I did. Cause for a while, we really didn't know if this was going to happen for us. And so I was like, well, I at least want to be surrounded by all my friends' kids and love them like they're my own and spoil them and do that whole thing, especially even with my nieces and nephews. So it's hard, and it's hard. I always say you're not the same person. Once you go through that, like you're a different person. You have to let go of things, let go of control, learn to find things that are positive and not try to like just fall into the darkness of the days. Cause that's what it is. It's like a dark hole that you can't get out of. And there were plenty of times I just laid in bed and cried.
Totally.
We were on one of the IVFs we did, just the timing of it. We were going on a ski trip, to where were we going? Austria, I think. And my doctor was like, just go, just take a home pregnancy test. I was like, oh no, I have to have that blood test. He goes, Sarah, it will show up. If you are pregnant, this will show up. And, I knew it in my heart and soul. It didn't work. And, I took the test. It didn't work. It was negative, whatever. And my husband, Zach, was like, all right, well, like, look where we are. Look at our life. Like, Sarah, some people never get to experience this, like what we're doing. And I was like, no, I'm staying in bed all day. I'm not going out. I'm not going skiing. I just want to like crumble up in bed.
Yeah.
And, he said, okay, I'm going. And I think you need to come with me. He goes, I'm not going to make you do that. So he gets all ready and I'm in bed. I'm like, I am so upset. I'm devastated, and of course he gets downstairs and like 20 minutes later, I quickly call and I'm like, wait for me. I was like, I'm coming. I was like, I'm coming. But it took all my strength to get my ass out of bed, put on my stuff and put on a face like, okay. And I remember going up and looking out at where we were. And I was like, this is still pretty amazing. Like, I've got to find the good here. Like, I have to.
Okay. I think that's so important, especially when you have the blinders on of, going through all this stuff. And it's just like, gotta have a baby. And then you forget that they're, it's hard though. It's really hard to do that, to take a step back and try not to lose yourself. I think it's still something that, everybody's working on that's going through this process.
100%. And it's okay to do that. Like, you can't help it. You really can't. But I think if you can get a glimpse of a moment, like, okay, hop out of it. And then, because it goes in waves. It really, really does. We took breaks, we took time off, we went back to it and all of that. That's okay too. I think you have to do what's right for you and what feels right. But I've had friends that can't kind of get out of the darkness and they couldn't go to those baby showers. They couldn't be happy for anyone. Right. And that's okay too.
That's okay.
It's okay to be like, don't beat yourself up over that. Like, everybody feels differently and goes through the motions differently.
Right.
But that was just my experience.
Yeah. I think it's important to just feel the feels, whatever they may be. And if that means, you can't go to the baby shower or you don't feel happy for someone, that's okay. And I think people need permission sometimes to feel, because like as women, we're like, am I an asshole? I'm an asshole, I should be going to that baby shower and I should just be putting on a brave face. And brave is not even the right word, but that's what we do to ourselves. And sometimes you just need to be like, I need to do this for me and step away and not attend and maybe send a present or, deal with it your own way. So I think it's hard to socially go through this as well.
It is because, it's sort of like when everybody's getting married, right? Then it's like, okay, oh my God, everybody's getting married. Like, everybody's doing this, everybody's having babies. So it's hard. It's really, really hard. But I think that no matter what the loss, my doctor always said, he's like, Sarah, when it would fail, he's like, I want you to, because I would always be like, all right, let's do it again. And he goes, no, he goes, you need to mourn this and like take a little time, to just step back and like, let your body and like your mind like settle. I always thought it was good advice because I just wanted to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And sometimes when I did take his advice and step back, sometimes we took like a year off because I didn't have my first daughter till I was 37. It took that long because I did need to take some breaks. And then during those breaks, it sort of repositioned me and gave me a glimpse of like, okay, there's a lot of good things happening in my life. I'm surrounded by people that love me, and I'm able to do some amazing things that if I had a baby, I probably wouldn't be able to do. So I tried to kind of spin it that way. I think in my mind to just get myself out of baby all the time.
Did you have people who were saying things to you that like were or were not helpful as you were going through it? What were some of the things?
Yeah. I mean, I'll never forget this. My in-laws have a house in Florida, and they knew, and they were so supportive of us, but we would be down there and, some of their friends would be like, oh my God, why haven't you given them a grandchild yet? And I learned to get a pretty thick skin, but my mother-in-law like burst into tears and was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, it's okay. I was like, what do you say? Like, what do you say? I'm trying.
I know it's
not my choice. And sometimes I did. Sometimes I got real snarky with people. I was like, what do you know? Like, we're trying, we can't. And then, they feel awful and you feel bad because it's so not what they mean, but it's just like, I've learned you don't say anything to any woman because maybe she can't get pregnant. She doesn't want kids. Like just zip it.
You never know what somebody's going through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. And it's none of your business. It's none of your business of what people are going through in their personal life. For sure.
Exactly. How is your husband doing through all this stuff? Did he have any times where he was, feeling depressed or the IUIs were not on the same page?
Yeah. He was, I think, ultimately sad that this was not working for us. But Zach is such a, how do I describe him? Like liver of life. Like he just finds the good and is like, well, this is my life and I'm going to live it. And like, let's just go. And so that was hard for me sometimes though. Cause I'm like, don't you give a shit? Like, don't you care? Why are you not sitting here crying and laying in bed and being so depressed with me? Totally. And he's like, I'm not going to live my life like that, Sarah. He's like, I just can't. And so we definitely disagreed on a lot of that sometimes, but I think if both of us were in the depths of despair, it would have been bad for us, Yeah. And we're very similar people. So it was interesting that we were so opposite with that. We're both really strong-willed, have opinions. But with the whole baby making thing, no, I know deep down he was really sad, but he just wasn't going to go there. Cause if he let himself go there, then I don't feel like felt like he could lift me up and get me to where I needed to be in like that more positive place. So he was definitely the positive force between the two of us. I was in the depths of darkness.
Okay. So what happened after that first unsuccessful round?
Well, we still had some frozen. So I was like, okay, people say it doesn't work on the first time. So I was really upset and shocked, but I was like, oh, we still have more frozen. Like let's just put them in. Let's put them in. When that didn't work, I started thinking like, oh God, now we don't have any left. We have to do this again. Like we have to come up with $20,000 or $30,000 more to do.
And now a brief word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Ritual. Ritual knows that it's basically impossible to get all the nutrients you need from your diet 100% of the time. So they made a multivitamin that helps you focus on what's important, like filling key nutrient gaps to support foundational health. Ritual's Essential for Women 18 Plus is my go-to morning vitamin, and here's why. Ritual multivitamins are 100% made traceable with high-quality key ingredients in clean, bioavailable forms so you can trust what you're putting in your body. Delayed release capsules are designed to dissolve later in the small intestine, an ideal place to absorb nutrients. They're non-GMO, project verified, gluten and major allergen-free, and vegan. And you guys, they have this minty or citrus essence in every bottle to help keep things fresh. And you know what? It actually makes taking your multis every day enjoyable. So instead of striving for perfect health, aim for supporting foundational health. The great news is that Ritual is offering my listeners 30% off during your first month. Visit ritual.com/InfertileAF to start Ritual or add Essential for Women 18 plus or prenatal to your subscription today. And here's a quick caveat. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Thanks, Ritual. So how many transfers did you do with the first round of embryos?
Two.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
so
I had
sorry.
2 eggs. We put 2 eggs in. They didn't work. And then I had 1 left over and then that didn't work. And then the next round, I had only 2. We put them both in. They didn't work. Then the next round, we had a few more. And that's when we did put 2 in and Evie worked. She finally works.
Okay. So you did transfer 2?
We did.
So tell me about coming to that decision.
I was like, let's just be one and done. Let's have twins. And I had to sign paperwork saying I understood what I was doing because the doctors were like, we recommend you put 1 in. I was like, nope, don't care. I mean, again, it just goes back to like, I think how impatient I was. I was like, if I can get 2, right now, I'll just go through it. I'll just get through to having twins. I know it's going to be hard, but like I've wanted these babies for so long, and so, yeah, it was never a question in my mind until after I had Evie. And then I put 1 in after that, because it's hard. Motherhood is hard. Like once you get there, it's not easy breezy. I definitely had postpartum. I thought it was going to be this like cakewalk and it wasn't, but yeah, if I had 2 to put in, I was putting in 2 for sure.
Okay. Can you tell me about when you found out that it had worked and you were pregnant with Evie?
Yeah. So how much TMI can I get into here?
There's no such thing as TMI on the show. So yes.
So I always knew that IUIs, IVFs failed because I would have like not necessarily bleeding, but discharge, right, of a certain color that I was like, it didn't work because I knew my period was coming, like that brown discharge.
Okay.
I know it's gross. Sorry, guys. Sorry, whoever.
No, that's okay. We talk about this shit all the time.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what
like,
this is about.
So gross. But so I knew every time, like whether I was trying to get pregnant or not, that's how my period, I knew it was coming. And so a week into the 2-week wait, I went to the bathroom and I had that. And I mean, I called my doctor in hysterics. I mean, I have never been more hysterical. I don't know why I thought this one was going to work. And so, I mean, I was up in arms. I was, I think, cussing. I was pissed. I was like, I can't believe this. Like, oh my God. Like, we just spent another $30,000. It didn't work. And they were like, calm down. And my nurse and everything, they were trying to talk me off the ledge. And again, I just went into the place where I was like, no expectations. They were like, you need to wait another week. They're like, you were on like, let's just make this up, but day 6. And sure enough, it was implantation bleeding, and it's just pain. So I always say all of those that I thought were signs, they're never signs. You don't know till you know. And my doctor called me and said, he just said, how are you doing? And I could tell by his voice because I knew the bad calls. So I knew this was not, I didn't know if it was like, okay, there's a little bit of a sign of hope, how like sometimes the numbers are low, it's not as high as they want them to be, whatever. But he's like, you're pregnant. And I mean, I was like, holy shit. Like, I mean, I started just screaming. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. And I immediately called Zach and he was screaming at work. And, I called my mom. And, we were just in shock, complete shock. And they said, they're like, Sarah, when you called us so upset, we had a feeling because we knew what day you were on, what you were describing, that it was implantation, like leftover, they're like, we had a pretty good feeling you were pregnant that day, but like, we're not going to tell you that. Like, we can't say that to somebody.
This episode is sponsored by Mosey Baby. If you are listening right now, you know that wanting a baby can be simple, but trying to conceive can be the most stressful thing in the world. But thanks to Mosey Baby, it doesn't have to be. Mosey Baby founders Maureen and Mark struggled to conceive for 2.5 years. When they couldn't find an easy and comfortable way to inseminate at home, they decided to make the product themselves, and that's how Mosey Baby was born. Created with insight from a fertility specialist, Mosey is the first patented syringe designed for home insemination and has been helping families inseminate privately at home since 2015. Before you spend thousands of dollars in a doctor's office, consider Mosey Baby and make a baby with love through insemination. Curious? Learn more about the Mosey Baby Kit and read some of the amazing stories from the Mosey community at try.moseybaby.com/infertileaf. Again, that's try.moseybaby, MOSIEBABY.com/infertileaf. Use code INFERTILEF for 15% off your order at checkout and join the 100,000 plus families who have included Mosey on their journeys to conceive. Thanks, Mosey Baby. This episode is sponsored by True Earth Laundry Detergent Eco Strips. True Earth's mission is to help reduce the billions of plastic household containers that end up in our landfills and oceans every year. They currently have household products to make your chores easier in the laundry room, the kitchen, and the bathroom. So a few weeks ago, guys, I got True Earth Laundry Detergent Eco Strips in the mail, and I got the fresh linen scented and the fragrance free. And on my next 2 loads of laundry, I used one of each kind. Okay, so I'm not exaggerating when I say that I am obsessed. These True Earth strips are smaller than the size of your hand, and all you do is take one out of the package, toss it in the machine with your clothes, and it makes everything come out fresh and clean and soft. They're so easy to use, and I honestly don't think I'll ever turn back to like a big jug laundry detergent again. Let's talk about the packaging. It comes in a super compact recyclable paper envelope, and each one contains enough for 35 loads. To see the True Earth package sitting next to my giant plastic jug made me never ever want to use anything but True Earth again. Think of the impact it has on the environment, and if people weren't using all of that plastic. I know that so many of you are into clean and toxin-free household products, so please know that True Earth is paraben-free, phosphate-free, free of added dyes, free of chlorine bleach, vegan, no animal testing, hypoallergenic, and readily biodegradable. It's also really travel-friendly. I could go on and on. So here's the best part. You can try True Earth today at true.earth/infertileaf and use code INFERTILEF to get 12% off your order. Again, that's tru.earth/infertileaf and use code INFERTILEF to get 12% off today. Thanks, True Earth.
So I was fully expecting this didn't work again. Here we are. But it worked and she stuck, but only one stuck. That I never had twins with her, and she's 6.5 now.
Okay. So did you have the anxiety of pregnancy after loss and, after treatment and after infertility that so many of us have? Like it's a different pregnancy than if you were to just get pregnant on a whim without having gone through all this, right?
Like feeling like I was going to lose the baby?
Yeah. Like, were you able to relax once you were pregnant with her?
I was. And I don't know if I was just so naive.
Yeah.
I tried not to Google things. So I tried not to go down the rabbit holes of like, I knew I needed to get to like 20 weeks, right? Like everyone's like, get to that 20-week mark. I was like, okay. But here's the thing too, for me, and I think this is why I never miscarried. This was the first time I was ever pregnant, ever. So okay. I never experienced getting pregnant on my own with IUIs, IVFs, and then losing. I just was never pregnant. And so I think for me, it was a little bit different because so many women would have a miscarriage and it's like they had that glimpse of hope. Mm-hmm. I had no hope ever.
Gotcha.
Like I was like, I couldn't believe I was actually pregnant.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I really didn't. I was able,
that makes sense.
Yeah. But I will say, and I feel like guilty even saying this, I didn't love being pregnant. And then I felt guilty for that. But
totally. I'm glad you said that because I think that's really common as well.
Yeah. I really hated it, to be perfectly honest. I hated that my body was changing. I mean, I felt like a crazy person. I mean, the hormones were just out of control, Mm-hmm. But I felt like because it took me so long to get here, I was like, I should be loving this. I should be embracing this. I was like, this sucks. Like, I'm tired. I can't sleep. Like, this is uncomfortable. And up until the end, I was like, all right, girlfriend, it's time to exit mom's body now. Get out.
Right. Right. Yeah. So tell me about your story's not over after that, right? What happened next?
Yeah. So I did definitely suffer from postpartum, like 100%. Like I said, I thought it was going to be a cakewalk. I was like, she's going to sleep. She's going to do this. Like, I'm just going to, and I own my own company. So I didn't take a maternity leave. So I was literally like on calls that next week, which was just silly of me. And I would never recommend it to anyone because you've just had a human exit your body. Your body is not the same. Your mind is not the same. The lack of sleep, the trying to breastfeed, all of that is intense. And so for a little while, I was really struggling, to be honest, whether I wanted another baby or not. I just wasn't sure, but I felt the guilt of, oh my God, we have some frozen. Oh my God, I don't want her to be an only child. What do I do? What do I do? I went back and forth for quite some time. And, Zach and I had lots of conversations. And, ultimately I was like, I definitely want to try again. I just want to see, if it works. Well, it failed again. And I was like, what? Like, how could this be? And Zach was like, Sarah, it failed like a million times. Like, did you actually think it was just going to like work? I was like, yes. I was like, I actually did. And so, and then, I remember I put it in around Christmas time and I remember having, drinks right before I put it in. And I was like, questioning, oh my God, did this have anything to do with it? And, it doesn't, but you just start to think about those things. And so then I put another one in like a month later and it failed again. So we had 2 more failed transfers after Evie. And I was just like, I threw my hands up. I was pissed. I was like, I'm done with this. Like, this is not meant to be. Like, enough is enough. I am tired of my mental state. I'm tired of all the shots. I'm tired of all of it. And so I stopped. And then I guess come August, I was like, oh, all right. I said, I will, because we had to make a decision whether to discard, like, what are you doing with these embryos, right? Like, because they're frozen. We had a couple left. And so I called Dr. Sasson. I said, look, I'm going to put one last one in, but I don't want to do any of the drugs. I want you to time my natural ovulation, put it in. If it works, it works. It's meant to be. If it doesn't, so be it. Then I am moving on. I am closing this chapter of my life and this is it. Well, it worked. Sure enough.
Oh my gosh.
He is here. Yep. So, and at that point, I have to tell you though, like I wasn't ecstatic. Like my husband was like, are you okay? I said, no, I had mentally prepared to end this chapter of our lives and to have Evie as an only child. And now this just threw a wrench in this. And I went for a walk for like 2 hours and he was texting me like, are you okay? I was like, I'm fine. I was like, I just need a moment because my mind was made up and I just did not think it was going to work. Again, here we are. My mom came over and I looked at her, I go, I'm pregnant. Just like that. And she's like, hey, like, how am I supposed to react to that? Like, this is not how I expected you to react or tell me.
Right.
And she goes, well, can I hug you? I was like, go hug Zach. I was like, I just am mentally like processing this right now. And she was like, look at Zach. She's like, oh my God, what is happening here?
Yeah. What was going through your mind on that walk? Like, what were you thinking?
If I'm being honest, I was thinking, I was really just thinking this is not, I hadn't planned on a second child at this point. And I was like, is this what I want? And I feel so guilty saying that out loud.
That's okay. Thank you for sharing that. You're just being honest,
I was like, is this really what I want? And oh my God, here we are. And, it took me a little time to accept it and that it was working. Cause then I was like, well, God, what if I do have a miscarriage or something like that? I didn't want to get my hopes up that, okay, she's not going to be an only child, so that's truly what I was thinking about. And I feel bad saying that because I know what the struggle is and I knew my struggles to get there. And so it was all kinds of emotions of guilt and like, why am I feeling this? I should be ecstatic, and once we went in for the ultrasound and it was like real and setting in, it was like a whole nother emotion, and it was exciting. And we found out the gender. And so, and I actually still have it on my voicemail from 3 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
I won't get rid of it, because that was the moment I just started to get really, really excited. And, we got to find out early at like 10 weeks. So it's just soon after you leave the fertility clinic that we get to find out. So I think at that moment I was like, this is amazing. This is awesome. Like, how lucky are we? 2 little girls, they get to be sisters. My mom had a sister. I always wanted a sister. Sorry, Tommy, my brother.
Sorry, Tommy.
Yeah, sorry, Tommy. But yeah, so that was, and that's just real life. I don't want to lie and, say that I was all, oh, this is so great. I went through a lot of emotions with it, for sure. For sure.
Right. Exactly. So what do you like now that you've got your girls and, you're on the other side of this? What do you wish that you knew then that you know now about going through infertility and treatment and all this stuff?
Such a good question. Oh God, it's such a good question. There's so many different ways to answer it. That I think you're going to be okay. I could get emotional talking about it right now, because it's a really hard thing to go through. You need a really good support system, but you're going to be okay. I have found that women, I'm getting emotional. We're so strong, and this is not the end, and it doesn't define you. You're going to get there, whatever path it is, whatever course it turns out to be. It's okay, and let yourself, go through the motions. And yeah, I would say, like I said, I was so impatient. But I think anybody that wants something so badly is going to feel that, but I think talk about it. I think find the people that want to listen to you, and it's okay to be honest and be angry and be happy. And like I said, it's okay to feel the guilt. It's okay to feel whatever you are feeling. You're completely entitled to that. But I think talking about it and learning about it, like, I love the platforms that people have now. I think it's amazing. Like doing this, like, I wish so bad I would have had, like, social media wasn't that big.
No,
wasn't a part of it, 10, 12 years ago. And
totally.
So, I see all the groups now. I'm like, these women are kick ass, and they share so much that's so real, that is so helpful, because you go down rabbit holes that aren't helpful.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's just a way to cut through all the bullshit. Like, that's why I started this podcast. That's why I co-founded Fertility Rally Community, because I wish that I had that when I was going through it. And I see these women, we were on a call with some of them last night, and just the bonds that everybody has, and just the lifelines. And, it's just so
there's a bond
awesome.
Like no other with this whole world. I know most people know it's, they call everyone going through it like warriors, and we are. It's like to endure putting your body and your mental health through what we do is pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. And that you keep doing it and doing it. I did it for I did it for almost 10 years.
Right.
And I was like, nope, I'm not going to stop till I get what I want.
Right. Well, that's one of the reasons you're a total badass. The other reason I want to talk about is Milkmaid Skin, which is, I'm such a fan. It's so funny because you have these gorgeous headbands that you made in collaboration with Glitter Enthusiast, our friend Jamie. Hi, Jamie.
Again, another IVF warrior.
And I literally, you sent me the headband, and we gave them out to our Chicago Fertility Rally IRL people in their gift bags. And I had the headband on when we got on the call, and it was so authentic. I didn't even realize and I'm like, oh,
I wear mine all the time. I should have put it on today.
I'm wearing your headband.
It's so
funny. Tell me about this line, the skincare line. And I also have to say, I'm obsessed with your exfoliating gel cleanser, and I just ran out. Hint, hint. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we'll get you more.
No, I'm kidding. You don't have to. I will purchase it. But I really do love it. And you've got a great moisturizer and a brightening eye cream and all this stuff. So tell me about the line and kind of, I know it does tie into your family building journey as well, right?
Yeah, 100%. So I have a background in beauty. So I've worked with some beauty brands. So, after Zach and I realized like our family was complete, I was still very connected to my doctor and infertility and women going through this whole process. And so we wanted to start a foundation where we raise grants for people going through infertility that can't afford it. Cause we were that couple in our early 30s. And so it's called Fertility Dreams Foundation. And that's what we do. We raise money for people going through infertility. But
so great.
It is. It's awesome. But on the whole collaboration with that was, again, when I had Evie, she is fair skinned and, because I was just obsessed with her skin and I wanted everything perfect with her. And so she would be scraping her face, the baby acne would be out of control. And everyone always told me, put breast milk on it. Breast milk is like liquid gold. It's like the youth elixir, throw it on everything. And so I did. I literally would use my breast milk on her face to clear up anything. And again,
did it work?
Yes, it was crazy. Like within 24 hours. And look, baby skin is baby skin, right? Everybody wants that young, juicy skin. But I would get a blemish or Zach would have a zit and we started using my breast milk on our own faces and I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, like this is amazing. You always hear what's in breast milk. It's like all these fatty acids, proteins, vitamins, which is incredible. And so again, being in the beauty industry, I was like, how is this not a thing? How has this never come across my desk? Like there's, goat milk products, like there's cow milk products, there's all kinds of different versions, but nobody was talking about breast milk. And so I contacted a chemist and they're like, oh, email us your idea. I said, no. We're going to have to get on the phone for this one. And so I said, look, I want to make breast milk skincare. They were like, what? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I want to do that. They're like, okay, well, number one, you can't use real breast milk because that's like not a thing. And I was like, okay, fine, fair. Cause it's like, how am I going to even
right. Like, I have to interject and say, I remember when we were first talking and I was like, so how do you get the actual breast milk? And you're like, it's not actual breast milk. And I was like,
milk in our product. Let me preface that. So what we did was come up with a milk complex that mimics breast milk. So we have gotten all these ingredients that are full of fatty acids, probiotics, vitamins, minerals, everything that's in breast milk and put that into a clean skincare line called Milkmaid Skin. And so we just launched it in May. We're super excited. And then, a percentage of the sales go back to the foundation. So it's this whole entire 360 effect of just, again, family building, women coming together, supporting one another. Jamie, who did the headband. So she actually, I'll hold this up. Her print is our packaging. And so that's what the headband is. It's amazing. And so again, it's just women supporting each other. It's skincare. Cause I am not like a skincare guru. I'm really not. I like minimal skincare. I'm lazy. I don't even wash my face every night, which I shouldn't even admit, but I don't.
I love it.
So I wanted something easy that was going to work and that felt really good. And, really just, again, it's a clean line. We have our milk drunk peptide moisturizer, which is amazing. It's nothing really has a fragrance to it. It's pretty, just smells kind of clean, and then we did a milk boost eye cream, which has caffeine in it because I'm always tired and anything to take away like my dark circles and make me look like I've had, some actual sleep. And then again, the cleanser is probably one of my favorites too. That's just, again, a concoction that I wanted. I wanted something with like gel, but I needed to feel there's little exfoliating beads in there. If I do wash my face, I need to feel like I'm getting all the junk off of it. And so that's where we came up with that. But everything has our milk peptide complex in it, which again is mimicking that of breast milk. So you are giving your skin, all of those minerals, fatty acids, everything to make yourself look and feel a little bit better.
It's so great. And I just was looking on your website for Fertility Dreams Foundation. You're having a gala in November. I want to come to, I'll talk about it afterwards.
I would love it. I would love it.
Yeah.
So it's on Friday, November 10th. I think Jamie is coming this year. We had our first one last year. We didn't know what to expect. So we were trying to launch the skincare line and the foundation together. The skincare line wasn't ready. So I didn't want to hold up the foundation. So we had our first gala last year. We raised over $20,000. We were able to grant a whole IVF to a family. They are pregnant. They are coming to this gala.
Oh my God, how cool.
Yeah, which is so amazing. We have already raised probably over $15,000 and the gala hasn't even already started. So we're hoping to give away 2 IVFs by the end of this year, which is amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we're super excited. It just feels good. And, I think I try to tell everyone that I talk to, it just comes from like a wholehearted place of just knowing that you can't get pregnant naturally, and then understanding the process and how much it costs to then do these procedures is so defeating sometimes. And you can't even focus and get your mind in the right spot of like getting your body healthy and in that space to do the procedure. Cause you're like, how am I going to pay for it? So if we can help a few families eliminate that, that's
so awesome. I mean, I have to say, and sorry to my loyal listeners who've heard this so many times, but my favorite thing is how these organizations and foundations and products and brands and companies come out of these journeys that we all go through.
Oh my
like
God.
This wouldn't exist had you not gone through what you'd gone through.
Well, exactly. And that's when I was getting a little emotional earlier.
Yeah. I just got the chills.
I know. Like, what advice do you have? This is a bit of a silver lining, right? Like I would have never created a skincare line. I would have never started a foundation like this if I hadn't gone through the trenches of not being able to get pregnant. And I think it's a silver lining of going through something pretty shitty, but coming out on the other side with a different perspective and, being able to help people. I think it feels good. Right. And, I wouldn't change it. If you ask me like, oh, would you go back and change anything? I wouldn't. I think, I love what we're doing. I love where we're at. And it's a whole lot of fun. I mean, I wish I was younger, but whatever. That's why I did the skincare line.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Please check out Fertility Rally if you're looking for a safe space to land. This is the place that Blair Nelson and I co-founded. We mostly have support groups. That's kind of what we're known for these days. We have multiple support groups a week for various parts of your journey, as well as general infertility support groups as well. We have Rally Guys too, once a month, which is for any guy going through assisted reproductive technology, same-sex couples, singles, partners, whatever works for you guys. We just want everybody to feel included and know that we get it and we are here for them and we are here to help you navigate it no matter what you're going through. So check out Fertility Rally on Instagram and our website, which is fertilityrally.com. We have more good stuff coming in the fall as well. And also, I just want to thank Sarah from Milkmaid Skin again. Check out her products. They're really cool. And I love what she's doing as well with Fertility Dreams Foundation. So thank you guys for listening. If you're going through a tough time, please know that you're not alone. My DMs are open. If you need anything, you can check me out on Infertile AF Stories. And if you don't mind spreading the word about this podcast to anybody who might be going through a hard time or loved ones who are trying to understand infertility better or assisted reproductive technology, please pass it on to them as well. All right, talk to you guys soon.